Hi, Karin.
Hi, BJ.
Hi, out there.
Hello, humans, non-humans.
The purpose of our video today is to share with you some of the culture of a group that we're both a part of. The group is a Law of One study group, study and practice group. And we have both found a lot of benefit from participating in this group, and we want to share what we have created and what we have learned from this group. In case you want to join our group, option 1. In case you want to start your own Law of One group, option 2. Or start your own study group of any kind, because there's some principles here of connecting and relating that we find broadly applicable.
Yeah, great social technology for meetings.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah.
Let's jump in.
Let's jump in.
Okay, how does our meeting start, BJ?
Well, we meet weekly.
Okay.
And we always arrive early, or it's up to each individual whether they arrive early, but that's built in to our schedule, is arriving early before the connecting, before the framework of the meeting actually
15
starts.
minutes early.
Yeah.
So we have time to connect and gab and do the connecting we need so that when the meeting starts, we're ready to really focus.
Yeah. And take care of business, of course. You can use the bathroom or whatever. And we always have a potluck we just place in the middle informally, so we have time to just set that up too, and then take our seats and talk.
Mingle.
Yeah. So after that, we've got the next section of our format is check-ins.
But before we start our check-ins,
Before we
BJ,
start our check-ins.
we take a deep breath and we take a moment of silence, a minute of silence really, and check in with ourselves to find out what is live for us so that we can be fully present as other people check in. Mm-hmm. Great idea. Do it in any circle you're in.
Yeah. So it's like a micro meditation. Connect with myself, prepare for my check-in. What is it that I want to share so I don't have to think about it while other people are sharing? And just connect with myself. See what is present, what's alive for me that wants to be held by this group. Mm-hmm. So a minute of silence. And then check-ins. So this goes along with arriving early. It's like building the container, the social fabric. Mm. And we emphasize authenticity. And really sharing what's alive for us. And often the shares will be something that's been challenging. And that fits in with our studies, and what we practice together is meeting the challenge and making good use of catalyst as the material that we study discusses. It's part of the purpose of the density that we're in. That's a reference to the material. So, yeah, so we check in. Mm-hmm. We share what's been going on in our week, in our lives, what's in our hearts, what were we moved by in the content, perhaps. We usually take a couple, maybe 3-4 minutes. It depends on how much time, how many people are present, and yeah, share just enough to be present. And
it's really awesome. And I'd almost recommend it for any group that's like we're studying material, but we have this deep heart connection. Yeah. And people get so much out of the share. Mm-hmm. It's really helpful for the social fabric, as you say.
Yeah. Yeah.
The deeper connections. Great.
So check-ins, yeah. After our check-ins, we have a meditation. And that's usually about 5 minutes or so. It varies. And something that's special about that is we rotate who's holding that space. Mm-hmm. And who's offering the technique of the week. And it varies. And that's really interesting. So it's a collaborative experience. We get to experience the gifts and the wisdom of different members of our group. We get to experience different ways of dropping into the self, experiencing the moment.
And we often the ask is, who is inspired to share and lead a meditation? Boom.
Yeah. So who has that? Who's sourcing it in that moment to facilitate the container of meditation?
It's present.
Yeah.
Present moment. Boom.
Boom.
I like boom all of a sudden. Great. And then meditation happens, and then we get into content.
Yeah. So the bulk of our time together is the sharing of the content. Yeah.
But not always.
Not always. That's true.
But that's the aim.
That's the aim.
But
yeah.
we love our heart share.
We do.
Sometimes it gets so good. I mean, often it's so good.
Yeah.
So Aaron leads the content section. Aaron Merritt, our beloved.
Yeah.
And he will hold the space of going through the questions and answers, or will ask who's got something that they're inspired to share that feels really juicy and pertinent for them.
Yeah.
And it's a collaborative space.
Yeah, one thing that's really great about it is that we all know that we're responsible for bringing our needs to the circle. You know, if there's something that I particularly want to get out of this week's session, then I bring that to the group. You know, and if I notice like, oh, we're not going there, then that's for me. That's my responsibility / honor to bring that to guide the group in that way. Yeah, and one of the particular pieces about that portion of our meeting is is balancing the study with the practice. So when we're reading the material, it often can get really heady, really intellectual, you know, esoteric, and we can kind of quibble over like, is this what is meant? No, is that what is meant? Oh no, I think it's this. And really, what we strive for is to listen for resonance within what someone is sharing, and we practice the kind of self-connection that facilitates connection with other, and a hearing someone speak as though it's another self.
Yeah, so like the bigger approach of we're not trying to create agreement between everybody.
Yeah.
We're not trying to fix anyone else. We're trying to hear all the parts of us, our other selves, speak and honor that and hear them. And so often in a study group, there's a drive to say, this is the right answer. It's not what our drive is.
Yeah.
And also to hear all the voices is another big piece of our culture. So we have a bell we ring to create balance or harmony in the group when things are moving quickly, to make space for the in-breath as well as the out-breath.
Yeah.
It sits in the center of the circle, and anyone can ring it at any moment. Or even when someone's feeling tension about something, they can ring it.
Yeah.
It's just to take a pause and take a breath.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's so juicy to be discussing the material and studying the material and also attempting to express it and experience it and embody it in the same moment. It's so juicy. It's so fun. So yeah, we practice noticing what is alive for us as the conversation is happening. Yeah. And yeah, as opposed to really just like interpreting the material. It's like, it's not, our focus is not just interpreting the material, but seeking an embodied understanding of what is moved in us by the material. Yeah.
And then doing that in turn with our other selves as well, which is, I think, part of where we get into tricky business.
Yeah.
there's first our self connection, and then how do we connect with others in this consciousness?
Yeah.
And one of the technologies that BJ has brought in also is stacking. And we stack, and when there's a lot of people who want to speak at once, this person and then that person, someone will just randomly start stacking them so that everyone can get heard. So we don't have the talkers dominate the circle.
Right. So it'll be like Karin is discussing, and then, oh, this person really feels something alive for them, and they'll like, oh, I really want to speak next. And so, okay, you'll be next. And then, okay, that person will be after you. And we'll just keep track of the stack, which kind of can relieve that pressure, you know, of like, I really, you know, like, okay, and that now I can be present for what Karin is sharing, because I know I'm going to be two people next and it'll be my space. And
and another thing we value too that we've spoken about is a breath between each person speaking. And it doesn't always happen, but it's something we strive for. And stacking helps that. Like you're saying, there's no pressure.
Yeah, we can get so excited about what is up in our space, because there's often so much energy that moves. And so then again, just to reemphasize that bell, it can be really helpful, because there's so much, wow, it's moving, okay, and then be with it, and then we pick it up again, we pick up the thread, and it does so much for the conversation and the connection.
Speaking of time pressure, sometimes we go over time. I'm sorry. Sometimes we it's the end of our time to be together, and we notice we haven't covered everything. And we can decide then whether we're going to extend the meeting or split that particular session of the material into the next week as well. So we don't know when we start our meeting if we will cover everything. Sometimes it's a particularly long session of the material, and we guess that we won't cover it all in that session. So there is that option too, and you have to sort of keep an eye on the Facebook group to see what session we're on the next week, because it might change. It might not be one every week.
Right. Yeah, so that's an important piece, actually. A lot of our group communication in between sessions does happen on a Facebook group. And there's a lot that goes on there. Like a lot of times people will bring something up, a lot of bonding, but then also like in the meeting, somebody will bring something up. Oh, that reminds me of this video that I watched the other day, and it's just so connected, and okay, I'll share it on the Facebook group. Like there's every week there's usually like at least 2 things from the meeting that were brought up, if not more, that get shared. So we're drawing in other referential material and studying in that way together and sharing. That's cool.
And then our closing ritual. Do you think we're ready to talk about that?
Yeah. And so every week also we have a simple closing ritual where we all take our right hand and we put it in the middle of the circle, and we make a little, everybody touches fingertips, and there's often like 20, 30 hands in there, and it's all the right hand, and then we touch fingertips, and then we curve our fingers, and it makes this whole little spiral thing.
Hey, you can't really see
you can't
it,
really
but
tell.
You got to see it with 20 people.
It's so cool. Like we're all in a circle, and we're like just
close. Well, close.
Edging our little shoulder in, and we stick our
there.
fingers in, and we curve it,
and you will love it.
and then we raise it up. And it's just as simple, like there's not like a lot of metaphysical meaning to it, but it's a simple way that we always know, like this is how we close out. And it's meaningful because it's not just like people straggle out. I mean, sometimes people leave early, which is fine, but there's, if you stay to the end, there's something we do that signifies the close of the meeting. Yeah, it's sweet.
Okay. So we hope that you come to our meeting, or you start your own meeting, or you are able to extract some helpful ideas from how we do things.
Yeah. One other piece I'm going to throw in there.
Throw it in.
Which is after the closing ritual, we clean up together.
Oh.
We have to put the chairs back where they go. We use the little back jack things on the floor, and we fold them all up, and we rearrange the room, and we wash dishes, and so there's tending to the space that happens together. And then there's also continued conversation that makes space for, Karin, there was this thing that you shared, and I really want to connect with you more about that. There's often
people talk for a
that.
long time after the meeting.
Sometimes hours.
Benjamin's like, you can stay.
Yeah.
That's really great. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video.
Yay.